An eye-opening new study about the coronavirus and air travel finds the risk of catching the virus on a plane is, quote, virtually non-existent if everyone wears a mask. The CDC declares 5 Caribbean countries safe for U.S. travelers. A Supreme Court showdown, with the U.S. Supreme Court putting a halt to census counting. We'll talk to an attorney about that ruling and how the newest nominee to the court, Amy Coney Barrett, could affect Caribbean immigrants in America. More election troubles in Guyana. Former Health Minister Volda Lawrence is facing new charges. New rapid COVID-19 tests are coming to the Caribbean. St. Kitts and Nevis gives $23 million in stimulus money to its citizens impacted by COVID-19. And how Kamala Harris and the Caribbean community are influencing the U.S. presidential election.
This is the Caribbean Times News with Alisha Davis.
I'm Alisha Davis in New York. Thanks for watching. And we begin with our top story, that new report about the coronavirus and planes revealing that the risk of being exposed to COVID-19 on an airplane is, quote, virtually non-existent when masks are worn. According to the recent study conducted by the Department of Defense and United Airlines, the chances of passing COVID-19 to the person sitting beside you on a plane is only 0.003%. 300 tests simulating a full flight were run over 6 months with a mannequin that was altered to mimic breathing and coughing. According to researchers, nearly all virus particles exited the inside of the plane within just 6 minutes. And out of 1.2 billion travelers, officials found only 44 cases of the coronavirus as a result of air travel, most of which were from before masks were required. Well, 5 Caribbean countries are now deemed safe for U.S. citizens to travel to. Anguilla, Grenada, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Lucia have all been cleared by the CDC because of the small likelihood there is of contracting COVID-19 in those countries. Now, the CDC has, however, given a level 3 designation to 11 Caribbean countries, meaning that the likelihood of contracting COVID-19 is high. Those countries include the British Virgin Islands, Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Puerto Rico, Saint Martin, Trinidad and Tobago, Turks and Caicos, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. The CDC is urging U.S. citizens to avoid traveling to those countries. Now, a new rapid COVID-19 test has been approved for use in the Caribbean. The Pan American Health Organization says that a new reliable antigen diagnostic test that was recently approved by the World Health Organization could transform the COVID-19 response in the Caribbean. According to the organization's director, this new antigen test is much more accurate in determining if someone is currently infected with the virus than the rapid antibody test. These tests will be available to those in remote areas where there is no access to laboratories, and the organization will provide access to the tests through its strategic fund. Well, now to a Guyanese American woman arrested for allegedly throwing her baby out of a window. According to police, the 23-year-old Guyanese woman living in Queens, New York, said that she gave birth in the bathroom and panicked. She cut her son's umbilical cord with a pair of scissors, and after allegedly throwing her child out of the window, she proceeded to clean her bathroom, take a shower, and then take a nap. The child received numerous injuries and was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. She was arraigned and placed on $50,000 bail, and an order of protection against her was granted, preventing her from seeing her son. Well, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis reports that it has handed out 23 million EC dollars as part of its COVID-19 assistance programs. This money was given to those impacted by the pandemic and subsequent lockdown. The Prime Minister said that more than 11 million from the Severance Fund will provide assistance for those who have lost jobs. He notes that almost 19,000 claims for severance were received by the Labor Department, and that a significant amount of those claims came from people who worked in the tourism sector. Well, coming up, Guyana's former health minister faces new charges, and that Supreme Court showdown, how Amy Coney Barrett's nomination could affect the Caribbean community. Stay with us.
Since the coronavirus, global travel seems risky, but with Promo Caribbean, you don't have to worry. Our COVID-19 alerts feature, coupled with our comprehensive travel guide featuring over 20 countries, contains all you need to keep updated and safe during the pandemic. Whether it's Belize, Barbados, Haiti, or Guyana. Our travel guide has all you need from safe places to eat, transport options, pharmacies, embassies, hotels, and Airbnbs. Not feeling well? You could take the COVID self-assessment test on our app. If you happen to be in the Caribbean or are looking to travel during these uncertain times, then Promo Caribbean is going to be your best friend. Today more than ever, you need to stay informed and stay safe. With Promo Caribbean, you don't have to worry. We've got you. Download the app from the App Store or Play Store now.
For the latest in Caribbean culture, news, sports, and entertainment, tune in to Carib Vision. We keep you up to date on developments in your region. Carib Vision. We broadcast across the Caribbean, in the New York tri-state area, Canada, and Europe. Carib Vision, the eyes and ears of the Caribbean.
Welcome back to Caribbean Times News. And the British Virgin Islands rebuilding after Hurricanes Irma and Maria. The country received $250,000 from the United Kingdom to assist in the reconstruction of two buildings that were destroyed by the hurricanes in 2017. The contributions will assist in the construction of a new magistrates court, and they will help rebuild the Road Town police station. The money is the latest in the UK's partnership supporting the country's hurricane recovery. The country's governor said that after the hurricanes in 2017, the UK rendered assistance within 48 hours. Now to Guyana's former health minister facing two new charges. It all stems from investigations into the country's March 2nd elections. Opposition party chairman Volda Lawrence was arrested and charged with conspiracy to defraud both the general and regional elections. Now, Lawrence says that she did nothing wrong and added that she believes this is an attempt to use the police force as a tool to harass her and the opposition. Opposition leader Joseph Harman accused the police force of harassment and called the charges against Lawrence baseless and spurious. She has been released on $100,000 bail. As dengue fever continues to spread in St. Vincent and St. Lucia, tourism is taking a hit. St. Vincent's former prime minister and current hotel owner, Sir James Mitchell, says that on top of the COVID-19 pandemic, the dengue fever outbreak in the country is affecting the tourism sector, causing him a number of cancellations. 6 people have reportedly died in St. Vincent from dengue fever, with 655 confirmed cases. Meanwhile, St. Lucia's Ministry of Health and Wellness says that they are investigating 2 dengue fever-related deaths. A total of 540 cases have been confirmed in St. Lucia. Well, Grenada is looking to resume cruise ship service. The country's tourism authority and ministry are in talks with U.S.-based cruise ship operators Sea Dream Yacht Club and Seabourn to find ways to restart the cruise industry. Thousands of Grenadians in their tourism sector have lost their jobs due to COVID-19, and the authority said that the government's working to restore those lost jobs while still preserving the nation's health. Initial discussions indicate that the Sea Dream Yacht Club will be working with Barbados, Grenada, and St. Vincent, while Seabourn will operate from Barbados. Only people who test negative for COVID-19 will be allowed to board, and guests will be monitored. Well, this as Grenada recorded its first positive case of the coronavirus in 3 months. 30 people, along with a number of students, will be forced to quarantine after coming in contact with a returning national who did not follow the country's mandatory quarantine guidelines. According to authorities, the man entered the country on October 5th and was placed in a quarantine facility where he was meant to stay until receiving a negative PCR test result. However, he left the facility before being notified of the positive result. By the time the man was picked up by authorities at his home, he had already attended a social gathering. Those who assisted the man in breaching the country's COVID-19 regulations have now been charged. Well, coming up, the U.S. Supreme Court showdown, how Amy Coney Barrett's nomination could affect Caribbean Americans and immigrants. And we will look at Kamala Harris and how the Caribbean American community is proving a pivotal swing vote in the U.S. elections. Stay with us.
Mac Shack, New York. dedicated to providing a unique dining experience by offering classic, seasonal, and modern creative macaroni and cheese flavors. Find their locations at macshacknewyork.com. That's MACSHACKNY.com.
Welcome back to Caribbean Times News, and now to immigration and that Supreme Court showdown over Amy Coney Barrett. Earlier, we spoke with Caribbean Attorneys Network member Simone Archer about the legal headlines. All right, so first, let's talk immigration. The Department of Homeland Security is dramatically increasing the filing fees for most immigrant applications. I mean, we're talking about the fee for Form N-400 going up more than 80% to $1,100 to apply for citizenship. That is a lot of money. So what is behind this increase, and how do you see this impacting the Caribbean community?
Well, the government is stating that the increase is due to, cost so that they can process all these applications. Other people suspect that they're doing that so that they can cause less people to apply for these benefits. So it's going to dramatically affect the Caribbean community because this is a lot of money we're talking about. People are already struggling. Now they have to battle with getting this money so that they can get this immigration benefit or putting food on the table. So it's very devastating.
Especially at a time like now during this pandemic and so much economic hardship. This week, we also saw the Supreme Court siding with the Trump administration.
Before we move on to that, with the immigration fee, I would tell everyone that they need to apply for those benefits right now because actually the fee increase should have occurred October 2nd, but a U.S. district judge actually enjoined that. So the old fees are still in effect until the court comes up with the decision. So people have more time, go out there, get your attorneys, get the money together, do whatever you have to do so that you can pay the lower fee.
Very important. And now the Supreme Court this week, we saw also sided with the Trump administration, ending the census count as of today. I know we've spoken about that before with you on this show. How does that impact immigrant communities?
Again, yes, we've spoken about the census where the census is used for a lot of things. The census is used so that the state could generate income based on the population. The census is used so that the state could have the appropriate representative in the House. And again, by lowering the time for people to be counted, especially in these pandemic times, then a lot of immigrants in a lot of community of immigrants won't be counted accurately. So therefore, the state won't get the required funding that it needs to support all of these, projects that we need, whether it's for housing, whether it's for healthcare. So it's going to affect us dramatically.
And now, speaking of the Supreme Court, the Amy Coney Barrett confirmation hearings wrapped up. The Senate Judiciary Committee is scheduled to vote on October 22nd. If she's confirmed to the Supreme Court, what does that mean for the Caribbean American community?
If she's confirmed, which obviously I believe that she will because they do have the vote for her to be confirmed, then it's going to be a conservative court. These justices are appointed for life. So whatever decision is made is going to be implemented for years or even for decades. One thing that we know, it's the Affordable Act, the Obamacare, that's coming up to the Supreme Court a week after the election. If she's appointed, it's going to be a conservative court. It's going to be 6-3. Usually conservatives, they're anti-abortion, they're anti-affirmative action. So it's going to affect the Caribbean community drastically, especially if that Obamacare is, repealed.
As they say, healthcare for millions of Americans could be on the line. Simone, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That was Simone Archer of the Caribbean Attorneys Network. And when we come back, the Caribbean community is playing a pivotal role in the U.S. election, and one of Anguilla's top resorts will be back in business. Stay with us.
Since the coronavirus, global travel seems risky, but with Promo Caribbean, you don't have to worry. Our COVID-19 alerts feature, coupled with our comprehensive travel guide featuring over 20 countries, contains all you need to keep updated and safe during the pandemic. Whether it's Belize, Barbados, Haiti, or Guyana, our travel guide has all you need from safe places to eat, transport options, pharmacies, embassies, hotels, and Airbnbs. Not feeling well? You could take the COVID self-assessment test on our app. If you happen to be in the Caribbean or are looking to travel during these uncertain times, then Promo Caribbean is going to be your best friend. Today more than ever, you need to stay informed and stay safe. With Promo Caribbean, you don't have to worry. We've got you. Download the app from the App Store or Play Store now.
For the latest in Caribbean culture, news, sports, and entertainment, tune in to CaribVision. We keep you up to date on developments in your region. CaribVision. We broadcast across the Caribbean, in the New York tri-state area, Canada, and Europe. CaribVision, the eyes and ears of the Caribbean.
Welcome back to Caribbean Times News, and now to politics and the Caribbean American community proving an important swing vote in the U.S. presidential election. Earlier today, I spoke with Marlon Hill. He's an attorney and the host of the People's Politics on Caribbean Rhythms Radio about this historic campaign. Mr. Hill, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Always great to join the Caribbean Times family. Thank you for having me.
Now, Mr. Hill, in recent days, we have seen presidential nominee Joe Biden and vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris campaigning in Florida and spending millions on campaign ads targeting the Caribbean American community. How important is that vote in swing states like Florida?
Very, very important. And it's not just Florida. Keep an eye on Georgia as well. And of course, the DMV area and the tri-state area. You remember, it's 270 electoral votes to get to the finish line to become the next president. Florida is a key component in the chessboard of getting those 270 votes. If President Trump wins Florida, he has other paths to win the presidency. But if he doesn't win Florida, his chances become less so. So the Caribbean community is been growing by a fast clip over the last few years with Caribbean citizens moving from the north and also moving from the south from the Caribbean region as well.
Now, I know that you recently had the opportunity to interview Senator Harris, who is, of course, first candidate with Caribbean heritage on a major party ticket. Her father is Jamaican. So how significant is that for our community?
Well, in 2020, being a Black person in America these days, it's not singular, right? We have many layers. You have those of us who are intermarried. You have those of us who have extended family members that are from the Caribbean. You have family members that were born in the Caribbean. They grew up in the United States. So we have different levels of who we are. Kamala Harris is just an example, a microcosm of who we are as Caribbean people. So to have the opportunity to speak to her about that side of her family was good for folks to just connect with her in that way. And, all our families as well, Alisha, are not perfect, right? So her parents were divorced at a very young age, so the dynamics of that is not absent from many Caribbean families. Some of our families are intact and some of our families have transitioned to looking at a different composition, if I may say so.
Well, based on your conversation with the senator, what would you say are the top 3 issues affecting the Caribbean community that the senator is in touch with and understands that the next administration will need to address?
Well, first and foremost, everyone is hoping to come out of this COVID-19 period healthier and better, building back better, right? So she understands that. We're all struggling. Many of us, whether you're in the healthcare industry, you have a number of persons of Caribbean descent that are nurses and doctors that work in our healthcare industry across America. So we are on the front lines. You have a number of Caribbean people that are also small business owners and entrepreneurs. We want to try to figure out a way to earn a dollar and to build wealth. Senator Harris and Joe Biden, they understand this very closely. Our family members in the Caribbean region we care for them a lot, so the issue of immigration and keeping our family members intact is something that is important to us and important to a Biden-Harris administration. And last but not least, we want to see our kids do well. Which Caribbean family do you know that doesn't want to see their kids succeed, to go to a Howard University and to pledge Alpha Kappa Alpha and to become an attorney general? Every Caribbean family wants to see their kids succeed, and she's an example of that.
So true. And now talking about that Caribbean American vote, it did decline we saw a high of 78% in the 2008 election with Obama on the ticket. It went down 10 points to 68% in the 2016 election. Yeah. Now we've talked about, the Jamaican community excitement, being that Kamala Harris is part Jamaican. Do you think that this excitement is going to drive voters to the polls this time, or has the senator done enough to motivate Caribbean American voters to show up?
Yeah, I think the spark is there, Alicia. I mean, the Black community is being driven nationwide in America by people of Caribbean descent, those from Jamaica, Haiti, Guyana, Trinidad, and Tobago. So we know that, and also our brothers and sisters from the continent, Ghana, Nigeria. So I think having Kamala Harris on the ticket, it's a spark, right? It's a personal connection. This voter turnout, especially in the state of Florida, less than 1%. President Barack Obama, 2008, 2012, less than 1%. He won. President Trump won the state of Florida, less than 1%. So, and that accounts for 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 votes. There are over 600,000 conservatively persons of Caribbean descent in the state of Florida and growing, driven primarily persons who are Jamaican and Haitian. So if that 600,000 just happens to go from 68% to 78% to even potentially 85% turnout because of the excitement of having Kamala Harris, or just how the campaign is conducting itself, it could make a huge difference in winning the state. It could make a huge difference in winning a state like Georgia or even Texas. Don't even overlook Texas. There are a lot of persons of Caribbean descent in Houston, from Trinidad and Jamaica and Belize, and other states that are where folks are moving to. North Carolina. My brother lives in South Carolina. So persons of Caribbean descent, we're becoming a part of the Caribbean, the American landscape as the generations go along. This is what happens with every immigrant community. So we're looking to see how this impact plays out in the next 18 to 16 days as early voting starts next week.
Exactly. And the margins are so small, as you said. So it is so important that everybody get out there and vote. Every vote really does count. And I just want to ask you quickly, I know in terms of voting, you have, I believe, a healthcare and voting initiative that you can tell us about.
Well, it's more than a healthcare voting initiative. The different voters care, Alisha, about different issues, right? It's very important for voters to identify what their values are, what their interests are. So you have small businesses, you have folks that care about healthcare, you have folks that care about education, you have folks that care about diaspora engagement, you have folks that care about their religious values. Let's be honest about that, right? Because even though you may be registered Democrat or Republican or independent, there are going to be a lot of crossover voters in this election. Pay attention to that. Don't get caught up in folks, the party affiliation, because there's going to be a lot of switching going on, just like it happened in 2016. So make your voting plan, know what your voter status is, go to iwillvote.com, download your sample ballot, prepare, the candidates, the amendments that are on the ballot. Make sure that if you're going to vote by mail, vote by mail. The law is there to protect you. Don't trust what you're hearing out there with the noise. As long as you do it early, it's going to be fine. Find out where you need to go and vote early. And then November the 3rd, it's your last option to get in the Fed, right? Everyone wants to get into the Fed, right? So you need to make sure that you go to your designated precinct on November the 3rd. Those are the three ways: by mail, go early, on the day off. And I promise you, when you see the turnout, and it returns after 7 p.m. on the East Coast, you're going to see whether or not your vote will make an impact.
That's right. Thank you so much, Mr. Hill. Have a plan, get out there and vote. Thank you so much for joining us. That was Marlon Hill, attorney and host of The People's Politics on Caribbean Rhythms Radio. And stay with us, because when we come back, we are going to take you to one of Anguilla's top beach resorts set to reopen on November 1st. That's just ahead.
Mac Shack, New York, dedicated to providing a unique dining experience by offering classic, seasonal, and modern creative macaroni and cheese flavors. Find their locations at MacShackNewYork.com. That's MacShackNY.com.
Welcome back to Caribbean Times News. And the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation is examining multiple investment initiatives in different sectors of Guyana. The corporation's CEO, who recently visited the country with a team of investors, revealed that the corporation is interested in financing local projects to the tune of $200 billion US. He said that they discussed investments in small and medium-sized businesses, as well as in agriculture and infrastructure. The chairman of Guyana's Private Sector Commission said that the corporation, along with a number of other U.S. agencies, will be contributing to the $200 billion financing. The chairman added that it is the perfect time to grow the partnership between the two countries. And finally, in our Caribbean Moment by Caribbean Journal, Anguilla's Frangipani Resort is reopening its doors. The popular beach spot is expected to reopen on November 1st. Anguilla is now in its second phase of reopening to tourism, which still requires tourists to undergo mandatory in-property quarantine for 10 to 14 days. Resort guests will not be confined to their rooms during that quarantine period and will be allowed to access the entire property, which includes the beach, the ocean, and pools. And that does it for this edition of Caribbean Times News. Now, starting next week, we're going to bring you all the top stories and newsmakers from the Caribbean every Sunday. You can find us on CareVision and streaming on Facebook Live and our YouTube channel. And to all of our viewers across the Caribbean and around the world, have a great weekend.